So in this segment, I want to discuss this clip from Ava Santina and the BBC discussing how David Lammy was very pro-Palestine and suddenly he's not. I wonder what changed.
The issue of Israel and Gaza.
I say suddenly he's not. Once he got the Foreign Secretary role, the shadow Foreign Secretary role, he changed.
Has been troublesome for a long time for the British left. Since the government has moved in, they suspended some arms sales to Israel. But do you think this is still a tricky balance for the Labour government?
Well, not even 10% of those arms export licences were. It's absolutely extraordinary. We're talking about dither and delay with supplying weapons to Ukraine. We have no problem at all with continuing to supply weapons to Israel that are being used to flatten Gaza. And the reason that we don't mind that is because Russia is a nuclear power and, well, quite simply, we don't have that same threat from Gaza or Palestine. This is an extraordinary, tricky issue for Labour because they're not.
She is right. She's very much right there because there is always the fear of escalation with Russia because Vladimir Putin keeps tapping the nuclear button, effectively, and warning Western countries to stop, essentially to not give certain kinds of weapons to Ukraine. Obviously, that's probably a button Russia will never press, but the threat of it alone is enough. Whereas obviously Gaza doesn't have something like that.
Being bold enough, they're not being brave enough. David Lammy has long sat on, he's been at every Palestine event for probably the past decade. I think I've been covering him at Palestine events for the past decade. And then the moment that he becomes Foreign Secretary, he goes quiet. What's extraordinary, when he was in the shadow position, he lobbied David Cameron to publish those arms export licences. He wanted to know the information. Now that he's in power, now that he's Foreign Secretary, he's also refusing to publish that information.
Well, they did suspend, we should say, as you said.
It's true. He has refused to publish it, and I don't know why. He went from saying, "I'll publish the information," while he's sitting on it, which we know David Cameron sat on legal advice based on more recent reporting, and yet he's not. Lammy's in the position now. He's got no excuse.
It's 10% of licences, so there is a difference in approach from this government. But do you feel that this will continue to be troublesome for Labour from the backbenches?
The framing of this is abysmal, by the way. It's essentially the killing in Gaza, is it going to be a problem for Labour politically? The framing is abysmal. Like it should be the case that yes, obviously it's going to be damaging. We're arming a side committing a genocide.
I think it's tricky because they've had such a massive intake with new, 2024 MPs, and actually there's not that many left of the Socialist Campaign Group, and a lot of them are now actually suspended. And we don't have an election coming up anymore, so it's not.
I think that's one of the things where you write to your MP and ask why are we supporting this? This is David Lammy trying to essentially support his really bad position on this stuff.
Well, look, let me repeat today my call that we need a ceasefire and it must happen now. I've been saying that since December. Well, look,
The earliest article of David Lammy saying that was from February 21st. So, again, I despise this dude. I really do not like David Lammy. He was the one that he was the one that basically said Labour can't get rid of the anti-protest laws because they won't have time. And you're like, that is the biggest load of nonsense I've ever heard in my life. I guess they're busy though. They are busy taking away money from pensioners. So maybe I'm the one who's wrong here. Maybe they've got cuts to make. They've got more money to take from vulnerable people. Maybe that's their goal. Maybe that's why they can't get rid of certain laws, and maybe that's why they can't really look at these export licenses properly because they've got poor people to rob effectively. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.